Hey y'all, I'm Jessie Jones and we're here in Bladen County today. I'll be filling in for Sydney, and today I have Jacob Barber with me and we're going to be talking all about mushrooms. So thank you, Jacob, for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Like Jessie said, my name is Jacob Barber. I am the horticulture agent here in Bladen County Cooperative Extension. I grew up in a muscadine vineyard. I went to NC State University, graduated in 21, and got this job. And I think I'm 3 years in now, and enjoying every minute of it.
Good, good. So you're going to be telling us today about growing mushrooms at home, right?
Yes. So growing mushrooms at home can be really simple if you have the correct material. We have today an inoculated hickory log. What you can do with hickory logs is cut them into 1 foot to 3 foot length logs with at least 3 inches in diameter, drilling holes every 5 inches, staggering the holes to optimize the space for fruiting growth of the mushrooms. And this log was inoculated with shiitake mushroom sawdust spawn. So what I did in each hole was inoculate the sawdust into the hole, then seal it with cheese wax. And what the cheese wax does is basically protect it from being contaminated during the inoculated period. And in 6 to 12 months, we should be seeing some fruit and some shiitake mushrooms if we have some ideal conditions.
So what are the ideal conditions for growing mushrooms in a log?
Moisture, 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 moisture.
Okay.
We can put it out in the woods for cool temperatures. Keep it off the ground. You can use an old pallet out of that, topsoil compost layer where most of those contaminants, which are just other fungal organisms, can contaminate your spore. Don't let your log get under, this is technically speaking 30% moisture. You can go outside if you keep it close to your house every other day and just spray it with your watering hose.
Cool, cool. Now, could you just maybe touch the log to, judge the moisture level, or?
Yeah, you can use your touch, you can use sight. There are some equipment, some technical measuring equipment that tests the moisture in the log, but those aren't necessary. I would just go out there and soak it every other day, once a week. Just don't let it get dried out.
Okay, all right. Are there other methods of growing mushrooms other than a log?
Yes, so you don't have to grow mushrooms using a log. You can grow it through pine straw. You can grow it in sawdust bags, and you can buy these from different companies across the nation. You can also grow them in toilet paper.
All right, interesting.
And you can also grow it in coffee grounds.
So that's a really good way to reuse your coffee ground.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Exactly.
Cool, cool. I've also seen it where they use a laundry basket and put the hay or straw in there. Mm-hmm. Is that okay?
Yeah, you can use a raised bed or bedding for the pine straw or leaves or any organic material.
Okay. Now, of the methods you talked about, is there a preferred method or a best method for growing?
I think it is up to preference of the consumer.
Okay. And can you grow just about any mushroom using any of these methods?
So you can grow oysters, which is a type of mushroom. You can grow lion's mane, olive oystering, chestnut, and turkey tail.
Okay, cool. I've never seen a turkey tail. What does that look like?
I am not sure, but I can get a picture at the end of this.
No problem, no problem. So in doing a little bit of the research on mushrooms, I found out that mushrooms have been used medicinally for thousands and thousands of years.
No doubt.
And there are over 10,000 types of mushrooms out there.
There are thousands of different mushrooms, and if you do a little research on where to get your inoculant, you'll find out how many different strains and how many different varieties of mushrooms you can,
That is so
you
cool.
can grow.
So cool. Now with the mushrooms, like, is there a particular place you want to go to get like the sawdust or the spores?
So the place I went to get all of my equipment, now this includes the inoculant, the sawdust, the wax daubers, the cheese wax, I went to Field and Forest Products.
Okay.
And they have a lot of information on learning how to, when to, where to plant these, and how to grow them. So it's a very informational website that I would recommend going to.
Great, great. Well, you have definitely got me interested in growing my own mushrooms. So now that we know a little bit about mushrooms, we are going to dive in and do a few recipes. We're going to cook some mushroom stroganoff and beef and mushroom tacos. So we will see you guys back here in just a few minutes.
Computer viruses, malware, and ransomware are out there. They're dangerous, and they can steal your identity and damage your equipment. Star Communications is now offering Protect IQ. This service adds an extra layer of protection to every device connected to your network, working quietly in the background. Star can help you protect yourself from the inside out with Protect IQ. Call Star today and take advantage of this free service when you sign up for whole home Wi-Fi with Star Communications.
All right, guys, we're back, and now we get to dive into our recipes. Today we are going to be cooking mushroom beef tacos. This recipe is a really great way to introduce people to mushrooms who may not really like mushrooms. It's a good way to hide them in there. So to get started, I'm going to have Jacob dice the onion for me. If you can just dice it into really small, thin dices,
Okay.
that would be good. And I'm going to work on our mushrooms. This is just 8 ounces of button mushrooms. Button mushrooms are actually the most common mushroom that we use here in the U.S. It's very mild in flavor, takes on the flavor of a lot of other foods that you cook with it. And here we're just going to finely dice these mushrooms. We want them as small as possible. And like I mentioned earlier, you know, mushrooms have been used medicinally for thousands and thousands of years. And they have a lot of non-nutritive plant substances. So those are your polysaccharides, your polyphenols, and your carotenoids. And those are really good for supposedly fighting cancer. Of course, this is also being researched, but the polysaccharides are great for your gut health. So I'm going to try to quickly chop these. How you doing over there with that onion, Jacob?
I'm pretty good, I
All
think.
right. Yeah, I don't know how you're doing it, Jacob. Not crying at all. I've tried everything.
I'm a pro.
You're a pro? All right.
pro
You'll have to
at
teach
chopping
me your
onions.
tricks. All right. So as you're cutting up these mushrooms, you want to make sure they're kind of minced, very small. You want it to resemble ground meat. If you have a food processor, you can absolutely throw these in the food processor to quickly chop these up. But I think these look pretty good, so I'm going to put these into our pan to get these cooking. So you're just going to put them in your pan without spilling them everywhere, if that's possible. This is where a good flexible cutting board comes in hand. You can just kind of use it as a scoop. All right. So all of those are into the pan, and you just want to turn your burner on to medium-high, and you are going to basically sweat these mushrooms. And you're drawing all of the moisture out, and that helps kind of brown the mushroom, crisp it up, and give it that meat-like texture.
So you're not cooking it at a high temperature.
Yes,
but
so it's like medium-high,
Okay.
and you really want to, and start out with a dry pan too. That's going to help, again, bring out that moisture. Mushrooms are loaded with moisture. And let's see.
You let me know when these onions need to
Yeah,
go in.
no, the onions are perfect. Those are
Okay.
great. And so after the mushrooms have cooked down, then we'll take those out of the pan and then brown our meat along with our onions at that time. Again, mushrooms, they are full of really good vitamins. There's vitamin B, there's potassium, there's copper, vitamin D as well. They're very underrated. I think people are scared of mushrooms. They're like, oh, they're slimy, or they have a weird texture, things like that. But again, throw them there into, your meat, sauces. They're amazing. I even like grilled shiitake mushrooms. They make a really good burger.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Once you get those shiitake mushrooms off your inoculated log, you can make some shiitake burgers.
Absolutely, absolutely. Grilled mushrooms are amazing. And the button mushrooms like we're using here, again, they're very mild in flavor, and they can be eaten raw. They're really good for salads, things like that. Starting to hear it sizzle right now. And this may take a little bit of time, usually 5 to 7 minutes. But just keep moving them around.
Are there other mushrooms you can use in this recipe? Or?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You can use any mushroom that you want to use. It's very, very versatile. You can switch them out. Of course, different types of mushrooms do have different flavors. Some are a little stronger than others. A lot of cooks like to use them because of their umami flavor. So it's a very rich, salty flavor. All right. Well, we're going to cook these mushrooms down. You'll see it as you're cooking them. There will be bubbles in the pan where that moisture is coming out.
Yep, I can see them.
Yep. So we're going to cook these down and take a quick break, and we'll move on to the next step.
Hey guys, Sydney here, and we are doing a little survey that I hope that you guys can be a part of. So it's a quick survey. There's a QR code here that you can scan with your phone. What you're going to be winning, we are going to do a raffle where you can win a fancy knife set. So this is a knife set that I use. It's top of the line. I give it to all my volunteers, and I'm going to be raffling at the end. So please complete our survey. Won't take much time, I promise, and we thank you for having us on At the Table.
Welcome back, y'all. While we were gone, I finished up the mushrooms. So this is what it should look like. They're very brown. All the moisture has been cooked out. And during the process of cooking, you'll see like the water kind of bubble up, and then it will evaporate. And once it's completely evaporated, you know your mushrooms are done. So I have put into the pan our ground hamburger meat with the onions. And of course you just brown the meat. And while I'm doing that, Jacob's going to get started on our mushroom stroganoff.
Yep.
And he's zesting up our lemon, and he's got the water boiling for our noodles.
Yep, we'll throw these onions into the saucepan with some oil, and
So
show on the road.
you talked to us about growing mushrooms at home, but how are mushrooms usually grown commercially?
Mushrooms are grown commercially in large metal containers that are usually conditioned or environmental, controlled. Turn that down a little bit. They can be grown in greenhouses, but some prefer a little more darkness and cool temperatures than and others want a little more air flow and sunlight. But commercially, most of them are grown in temperature controlled and humidity controlled areas.
Okay, cool. Talking about mushrooms and buying mushrooms, we see mushrooms growing out in our yard all the time or in the woods, things like that. You have to be very, very careful because there are some poisonous mushrooms that look exactly like a mushroom that's safe to eat. So if you do want to forage for your own mushrooms, just be very cautious. Make sure you know what you're looking for and you can identify those mushrooms. So to the meat and onions, I added some taco seasoning that I made myself. It's basically just chili powder, cumin, garlic powder, paprika, a little bit of cayenne pepper, or you could very easily use a packet of taco seasoning as well. And to thicken up our sauce for the taco meat here, I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. I love these little tubes of tomato paste. They're very convenient. I don't have to worry about finding a container to put my extra tomato paste out of a can in. So just stir this up really well. How are we doing over there, Jacob?
Pretty good.
Good?
Pretty good.
All right. So for Jacob, I used button mushrooms. He's going to be using shiitake mushrooms, which were the mushrooms he talked about growing. So you're going to kind of see it all in action.
Oh yeah. I think it is going to be really good because it smells really good.
It does smell really good. We need to invent a way to transport smells through TV screens. That way everybody else can enjoy all of this. All right, now that this is pretty much mixed up, I will add the mushrooms back into the hamburger meat. Stir it all together. Now look at there, mushrooms have disappeared. You can't even see them now. All right. So this
Boy,
is
yours
looking,
looks really good.
yeah. I'm excited about the whole shiitake mushroom stroganoff thing. It looks yummy. All right. So this is completely mixed together. I'm just going to turn my heat down to low to keep it warm. And while that's staying warm, I can heat the tortillas up. All right. Kind of spread that out there.
I'm gonna add a little bit more oil. I don't think I added enough.
I think I said it before whenever I was helping Sydney, I like to measure with my heart. I don't really measure things exact because cooking is all about your preference, all about your taste. Some people like hot, some people don't like hot, so you do what makes you happy. I'm going to heat up our little grill here. And turn it on to medium. And these are just little street taco shells. So I'm going to get our shells heated and warmed up. We're going to take another little break and we'll join you back and we'll finish up the mushroom stroganoff.
Hey Wes, why couldn't a bicycle stand by itself? It was too tired. Hey Angela, I'm so good at sleeping, I can do it with my eyes closed.
That joke was so bad.
I may not have the best dad jokes, but I do have the best gifts for dad. So come see me at J&B Liquidations and shop for dad this Father's Day. 302 Southeast Boulevard in Clinton.
All right, we are back. The taco meat is now finished. And I have our tortilla shells all toasted up and ready to go. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill one up. Ooh, that's quite toasty. All right, I'm gonna put that down. Just put a little bit in there and then you can of course top it with sour cream, your favorite cheese, whatever. So that is completed.
Okay.
And we're gonna finish off the mushroom stroganoff. So while we were gone, we kind of reduced down the mushrooms, kind of sweated those out again. We added all of our spices. There was the lemon zest, we had cayenne, paprika, salt, pepper, and we added about 3/4 of a cup of vegetable stock in here, and this is going to make our sauce. And usually with like traditional beef stroganoff, there, you know, again, it's beef, but there is a creamy sauce that goes along with it. And to make this a little healthier, instead of using sour cream, we are going to use Greek yogurt today. Okay.
My favorite.
So it still gives it a little bit of tang, just without the added fat.
Right. Would you like me to start the noodles?
Yes.
Okay.
So Jacob, please put the noodles in the water. And we're using egg noodles today. I kind of feel that sticks more with the traditional stroganoff, but you could absolutely do rice with this, anything really. All right, so we have our yogurt in here, and we're just going to mix this up.
If I use this?
Yeah, go ahead. So this is going to get really thick, creamy. And just a few tips on storing mushrooms, using mushrooms. So mushrooms are, as I've mentioned before, they're full of water. They're about 80 to 90% water.
Right.
So mushrooms unfortunately do not freeze well, so you cannot freeze them, but whenever you purchase them, just keep them in a cool, dark space. So your refrigerator, you can leave them in the container, or if you happen to go somewhere and purchase bulk mushrooms, you can transfer them to a brown paper bag that has holes in them, because that's going to let the air flow through, and then just put them in that brown paper bag and stick them in the fridge. Mushrooms are very delicate, so you have to be careful whenever you're washing them. I generally don't stick my mushrooms under running water just because it can damage them, but just take a damp paper towel and wipe the top of the mushroom off.
You still want to clean them?
You still want to clean them, absolutely. Absolutely.
Even if they came out of the package that we had earlier?
So if they're
package.
in a package like that, they should be already pre-cleaned.
Right.
And so they're good to go. But sometimes, again, if you buy bulk mushrooms, there are some grocery stores that you can go to buy bulk mushrooms. There may be a little bit of soil left on them, so you just want to brush that off, basically.
Okay.
All right. So this is getting all mixed up. So we're going to let this simmer for a few more minutes to thicken up. We want a nice thick sauce to go over our noodles. That's going to help stick to the noodles.
Can you add more yogurt if you want it to be more thick?
You absolutely could. You could even do a combination of Greek yogurt and the sour cream if you're, again, kind of transitioning, making small healthy changes.
Right.
You could mix the two together. That's perfectly fine. Or if you want to do a full traditional stroganoff sauce, you can absolutely just use sour cream.
Right.
So that's perfectly fine. All right, this is going to simmer and cook a little bit. The noodles should be
about ready.
Should be about done. They're egg noodles, so they only take like 5 minutes at most. They're a quick cooking noodle. So.
And what kind of seasoning did you season your mushrooms with?
So the mushrooms, we used paprika, cayenne pepper. There was lemon zest in there that's going to brighten it up, give it an extra zest. Yeah. And just salt and pepper. All right. Well, and then again, just mushrooms they're so versatile. You can use them in anything. You can eat them raw. You can put them in soups. You can put them in stews, casseroles, sauces. They're amazing.
I like to chop mine up and put them on salads.
Yes.
That's what I do at home.
They're a raw and cooked vegetable.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is going to thicken up. We will plate it with our noodles. And Jacob, thank you again for joining me today. Thank you for all of your help in the kitchen.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes,
Had a
yes,
blast.
absolutely, absolutely. All right, well, we will see you guys next time. Thank you.